Hi, I'm Danny. Today I'm going to explain a movie where a birthday weekend turns into a terrifying nightmare. What starts as a fun road trip to a music festival becomes a descent into paranoia, horror, and supernatural chaos. Olivia is celebrating her birthday and has invited her friends for a mysterious celebration over the weekend. The first to arrive is Carrie. She sees a little girl singing and tries to play with her, but the child is very serious and quiet. Next, Carrie is almost knocked over by her enthusiastic friend Gabby. She is an athlete and had said she wouldn't come due to training, but a knee injury ended up freeing her for fun. The next guest is her ex-boyfriend Chris. The birthday girl appears dressed as a princess and receives presents. The atmosphere becomes a bit dull with the arrival of Sarah, who is a rich young girl known for being spoiled. Carrie promises she won't pick on her or ruin the party. Everyone gathers for the much-anticipated reveal. Olivia announces that she has gotten tickets for Blue Light, a very popular music festival. They will arrive around midnight if they leave soon, and they still have 2 days of partying ahead. The transportation was arranged by Olivia's boyfriend, Michael. He introduces his friend Jason to the group, a former Marine with little sense of humor. When doubts about the trailer's origin arise, Michael explains that it was his Uncle Grant who lent it to him, hence the strange decor, starting with the MAB ornament on the hood. The trip begins, and the young people distract themselves with music and drinks for several hours until Michael announces the first stop in a joking tone. He recommends that everyone enjoy civilization because they don't know when they will see it again. In front of the gas station, two truckers start to annoy the girls. The situation gets tense when one of them grabs Gabby a very personal item, drops from her bag, intensifying the provocations. Chris tries to defend her and ends up receiving a punch. The tide only turns when Jason steps in, using the same object to neutralize the aggressors with pinpoint strikes. The group returns to the trailer and the journey continues. They are still shaken by what happened when Jason suddenly steps on the gas without warning. The truckers are coming after them. Panic sets in among the young people as the trailer is a big clunker. Jason can't drive any faster. He tells everyone to hold on tight and makes a sharp turn. Chris yells to warn that one of the men has a gun. Fortunately, they veer just in time to escape the shot. The group continues in the wrong direction until they are far enough away, then they stop to catch their breath. After such excitement, everyone is impressed with Jason's heroism. Carrie sees an opportunity to thank him with a hug, but Sarah is quicker and much bolder. Michael circles back to the trailer and is very upset to see the damage in a tactless manner. Chris comments that the whole vehicle is already in terrible condition. Carrie says that the incident was very serious and that they should call the police, thinking about the delay this would cause. Olivia becomes very anxious. She wants to get to Blue Light quickly and won't let anyone ruin her birthday. The others agree with her, especially since they don't want police checking their luggage, dazed by the general childishness. Carrie gives up on making the call. Sarah offers her credit card for Michael to do the repairs before Uncle Grant finds out. He accepts. Very grateful, Gabby discovers an alternative route that seems faster than going back to where the forced detour was. Relieved, they climb into the trailer and the journey continues. Everything goes well for the first stretch, but the cell signal keeps getting worse until there comes a point when no one can check the map. Gabby is almost certain that Michael should turn right. Since Olivia doesn't want to wait any longer, he obeys and makes the turn while Jason tries to decipher a paper map. Chris proudly boasts about having demolished the bathroom, but the girls complain about the odor and open the windows, seeing an abandoned car. Carrie finds it strange that it has been left like that out of the blue. Only now does she realize that she hasn't seen anyone since they left the original route. Gabby gets annoyed with her friend's pessimism and changes the subject. It's already night when they stop at a bar to confirm the way. Chris is unable to walk, and the others want to rest, so only Carrie offers to accompany Michael. The atmosphere in the bar is very tense. The waiter says there is no alternative route, telling the group to turn around and retrace their steps back to the main highway, and when they try to order a snack, he says the bar is closed, even though it is obvious that is a lie. Michael starts getting irritated with these people, fearing the worst. Carrie decides to get him out of the bar as soon as possible. She sees a strangely familiar truck passing on the road, but prefers not to raise suspicions back at the trailer. Jason says that the physical map also shows the alternative route. There's no reason to believe the rude waiter. They just need to keep going straight until they reach the highway. Everyone agrees and the journey continues. The girls distract themselves with question games until a loud bang interrupts their fun. It seems the trailer has hit something, but Michael says he didn't see anything. Carrie thinks someone should check because it could have been a person. Gabby starts yelling and says she's crazy. Michael decides to leave immediately, but the trailer won't start again. He begins to panic and starts talking about his uncle. Olivia tries to comb her boyfriend until she herself freaks out upon hearing the truth. The uncle never agreed to lend the trailer. It was Michael who took it without permission. Sarah still thinks her credit card will solve everything, but it's not that simple. Even if they can pay for transportation, no one has a signal to make the call with no other option. Michael grabs an FL flashlight and heads out. The road is very dark, and he can hardly see anything. Inspecting the front, he says there is no sign of impact. It must have been a branch. Only then does he notice that the road crosses a dense forest. The wind in the leaves makes a noise that sounds like someone moving. Michael checks the space under the trailer and says there's nothing there either. Jason then starts the engine so that his friend can investigate the problem. When the car finally starts, everyone erupts in joy, except for Michael himself, who seems to have seen something strange. Olivia follows him with her gaze as he goes to investigate. She suddenly begins to scream in terrible despair, yet the friends see nothing. They ask what happened, but Olivia is in shock and can't even speak. Jason is tending to her when an animalistic sound frightens everyone, and the worst is yet to come. A chorus of distorted voices begins to repeat the name Michael, as if several people were hiding in the forest playing a cruel prank. Even Jason is scared, but his hero sight prevails, and he goes out to look for Michael. He cautiously walks around the front of the trailer. Through the side window, he warns that he sees something but doesn't say what it could be. A ghastly laugh echoes through the forest as he approaches. The demonic voice calls for Michael once more, and then starts producing nonsensical sounds. Jason tries to figure out where the voice is coming from, but the sound shifts very quickly, always surrounding him as if it were closing in on the cell phone. The light goes out at that moment in a quick flash. Michael's transformed face appears right in front of him. Inside the trailer, the girls hear a series of gunshots. They duck down, fearful and unsure if it is even Jason who is shooting. Carrie gathers all her courage to peek outside, supporting her hands on the window. She doesn't see the other pair of hands reaching for her. The sleeves are identical to Olivia's clothes. Carrie jumps when the fingers touch her, and then the trailer door suddenly swings open. For a moment, there is nothing but darkness. The girls don't even breathe due to the tension. Then Jason appears in the doorway. He looks like he has been beaten up or worse. Something drags him away with spectacular force, and all he has time to say is for everyone to run. Instead of obeying, they hurry to do the opposite. Gabby pulls the door with all her might while the other two close the windows. They hear the monstrous voice outside speaking in an unknown language in a threatening tone. The noise stops when they manage to close everything, but the peace is very brief. Sarah can hardly believe it when she sees all the windows opened and the door wide open again, as if they hadn't just closed it. She grabs the steering wheel and starts the engine, hoping to leave the danger behind. Unfortunately, she doesn't get very far. The trailer abruptly stops, and something begins to pull it backward. Carrie can't see what it is. Then the engine dies, and Sarah realizes they are stopped exactly where they were before. Now the trailer won't start again. The three hug each other, heartbroken, and then realize everything is closed again. Desperate for a logical explanation, Gabby starts forming a theory about their friends Jason and Michael knowing each other before the trip, and perhaps planning all of this. Carrie finds the idea absurd because Michael wouldn't do that to his girlfriend. Gabby suggests that Olivia might be involved too. Besides being known for her pranks on social media, she was the one who promised an unforgettable weekend, which could mean many things. Sarah begins to believe the theory. She finds it very strange that only Olivia saw what happened to Michael becoming catatonic right afterward. Also seems very convenient. So far, the only thing the three have seen with their own eyes was when Jason reappeared. Gabby says he might have covered himself in dye. All of this could be a sadistic joke to entertain the birthday girl. Even the tickets for blue light might be fake. Gradually, Carrie begins to convince herself too, and almost gets up to slap the host. But Gabby prefers to win, with elegance. Olivia always gets sick from cigarette smoke. This is how they intend to prove the hoax. Gabby starts recording a video telling the whole story and poking fun at Olivia, but when Sarah blows a puff right in the victim's face, she does not react, showing that their theory did not hold up. The lights begin to flicker immediately afterward, as if the haunting had waited just to laugh at the attempt. Something begins to bang on the trailer, and terrifying roars come from everywhere. Driven by the instinct to survive, they start to organize themselves. Gabby manages to wake Chris. He says he had a nightmare with the three girls, but that Michael and Jason weren't in the dream because they are no longer among the living. Then Chris loses consciousness again, leaving his words hanging in the air. Sarah tries to lighten the terror and says he must have heard their conversation at some level of consciousness. Still trying to rationalize the events of the night, Gabby says the enemy could be some kind of wild animal. Ignoring that this would not explain the voices, then Carrie remembers the truckers and tells them she saw a similar vehicle in front of the bar. The friends get angry because she didn't say anything at the time, but do not believe those two would know how to orchestrate such a complex attack. Gabby begins to distrust their friends again, blaming Jason. The three start hurling insults at each other until they hear Olivia's voice. She is calmly standing in the middle of the trailer and, furthermore, talking to someone on her cell phone. When Carrie asks for the phone to call for help, she just turns her back and continues chatting. The others check their own phones and discuss that there is still no signal. Looking back to the front, they realize that Olivia has simply vanished. She left her cell phone behind, which starts ringing at that exact moment. The screen shows the call is from Michael. Furious with the guy, Sarah answers. What she hears in response defies any explanation. It is her own voice repeating what she is saying almost simultaneously. Then she sees Olivia. Standing on the road alone, Gabby tries to go out to get her, but the door won't open at all. Olivia begins to walk away as the others scream in desperation, pleading for her to come back. A few meters from the trailer, she begins to speak as if having a conversation with Michael. She says she came alone as he asked, and that they can be together again. The other girls can see her gesticulating and don't understand anything. There are several ghostly figures surrounding the girl. She is laughing completely out of her mind. But when the apparitions begin to sing happy birthday in ab-like way, fear causes her sanity to return. Olivia starts running and stumbles. Midway, a dense fog settles over her, and the friends lose sight of her. She then gets up and runs to reach the trailer, but can't open the door. However, what the girls are seeing is different. There is another Olivia in the middle of the road making gestures that match what the real Olivia is saying. They only realize the disarray when the friend pounds on the door and begs them to open. Gabby suffers with her crying, but Sarah does not let her open the door. There's no way to know which of the Olivias is a human being. When the screams cease and the fog obscures everything ahead, the three feel defeated and start considering the possibility of a supernatural threat. With no defense against something so unknown, the plan would be to stay there until dawn. Suddenly, the lights flicker again, and someone knocks on the door. The noise intensifies and begins to mix with sounds of gunfire and breaking things. They start searching for objects they can use to defend themselves when one of them is startled by a huge S dropping from the cupboard in the confusion. Carrie accidentally turns on the stove, a piece of clothing catches fire, and the flames spread. Fortunately, Sarah is quick with the fire extinguisher. Now Gabby has reached her limit. She decides to go out alone to seek help. Even with her hurt knee, she is the athlete of the group and has a better chance of escaping by running with a quick goodbye. Gabby takes an axe and opens the door. She begins to scream upon seeing what is left of Olivia and is inconsolable for not having let her friend in. Gabby leaves, and the two do what they can to completely seal the interior of the vehicle. The plan is to wait for her return, preferably with more Marines or something like that. When the light goes out, they use candles to save the battery of the flashlights in case they are forced to leave. The wind, which shouldn't even be blowing there, insists on extinguishing the flame. Then a screen lights up on the dashboard, showing the interior of the trailer in real time. Even if a hidden camera explained the video, only Sarah appears, as if Carrie were invisible on the screen. It is possible to see another person in the background. With great relief, they discover it is Chris. He wakes up in a good mood, asking if they are already at blue light and making jokes about the general state of the trailer. He picks up one of the fallen books. The work is about occultism, and the girls soon realize that Uncle Grant only had books. On this subject, they tell everything to Chris, and he doesn't believe a word, laughing in their faces, but then the howls and bangs return. Less than a minute under attack is enough to change his tone. To everyone's surprise, he reveals that he is graduating as an engineer and knows how to fix the vehicle without any problems. Unfortunately, this involves a trip outside. Sarah sits at the wheel while he tinkers with the engine. Realizing that his tools have disappeared, he sees that they are under the trailer, out of his reach. He sneaks to grab them. Dying of fear, the girl frets because he seems to have vanished under the trailer. A dagger is thrown from nowhere, coming from the side. The young man's hand is hit hard and he begins to scream. Before being pulled out, he breathes a sigh of relief when he sees that it is Carrie who pulled him. She quickly tends to his hand and they resume their work. They manage to start the engine and once again celebrate too soon. Sarah warns that the tank is empty. Carrie says she saw Jason filling the reserve, so the two need to turn around. No one is very happy about that. As they proceed on tiptoe, the trailer door opens on its own. Sarah is haunted by Olivia's voice repeating her pleas, and she has to cover her ears not to go mad. Meanwhile, the other two aren't facing major issues. Carrie apologizes for never asking what Chris was studying. He was always seen as the class clown, and no one knew his potential. Chris agrees that the group has always ignored his problems. Carrie didn't even know he lost his father to cancer. After this serious conversation, the two manage to grab the gas reserve and fill the tank. They seem not to hear Sarah's screams even with the door open. By this point, the girl is already seeing double. Seeing a shadow approaching the entrance, she fumbles for a knife, screaming and crying. Sarah charges at the invader and then realizes, horrified, that she has just attacked her friend. Carrie reacts very calmly, but only until she looks down. Her scream alerts Chris, and the door closes. On its own. Before he can come up, he starts banging and asking them to open it exactly like Olivia did. Before the girls freeze paralyzed between fear and guilt, it is at this moment that the headlights appear in the distance. A car is approaching. Chris rushes to meet it, waving with excitement. The other two watch happy. Sarah takes the moment of peace to apologize for the knife issue. Carrie understands and says it wasn't her fault. This thing that's after them is capable of pulling off very convincing pranks. The words barely leave her mouth, and the two realize that is exactly what is happening now. Chris is getting closer to the car when the headlights turn off without warning. When they flicker back on, his form resembles a pair of evil eyes. The young man tries to run, but the impact is inevitable. He hangs from the horns of the horrible ornament, and his friends witness his tragic end. Exhausted, Carrie staggers to her seat and ends up falling asleep. When she wakes up, she starts to doubt her chances of survival. Sarah says a quick end is better than prolonged suffering, like in Chris's father's case. Remembering that she wasn't there when he told that story, Carrie asks how she knows this. Sarah grabs her neck, making a malevolent sound. In an instant, she appears several steps away, and Carrie finds herself struggling with nothing. When the real Sarah leaves the room, it seems the attack was just a dream, until she also betrays her trust using the same knife as before. The cycle repeats itself, and Carrie no longer knows what is real. The radio turns on by itself, and the voice of that little girl sings the same song in a fit of rage. Carrie smashes the radio. Sarah sees that she has a pentagram tattooed on the nape of her neck, and suspicion begins to grow between the two. Then the blue fog invades the trailer and starts to dominate the environment. The two decide to run and fight for their lives, but when Carrie exits, the door slams shut before Sarah can follow her. Carrie sees her through the window being absorbed by the fog and then crushed. The trailer begins to spark as if it is about to explode. Carrie runs through the forest. Inexplicably, the children's song continues playing wherever she goes. Carrie trips over something and falls. It's Gabby's leg. Horrified, she keeps running. It's already daytime when she reaches a busy road. Then a familiar-looking truck passes by at high speed, and Carrie simply disappears. On the other road, a car full of young people passes by the empty trailer. One of them finds it strange that it has been left like this without any warning, but no one is too concerned. As everyone is excited to get to Blue Light soon, unaware that on the way to this dark destination, they too will be reaped.